Welcome back. It's been a while, but I'm back. Stephen Kenny as Ireland manager. Now that's an interesting discussion. That is an interesting debate, and that is certainly one that seems to split a lot of opinion. I mean, the majority of fans that you speak to would are very much behind the idea of Stephen Kenny staying on for the qualification campaign for the European Championships in 2024. But a lot of ex-players, journalists, media, ex-managers, pundits, very much against the idea of Stephen Kenny getting a new contract and staying on as Ireland manager. And to be perfectly honest, I disagree. I think Stephen Kenny should be given the time as Ireland manager. He should be the man to try and lead this Ireland team to the 2024 European Championship. Now, I am also very much of the idea that if things go as bad as they did in the qualification campaign for Ireland leading up to the World Cup in 2022, I do think that, I think you would have to say at this point, maybe, we need to look elsewhere. But I also think as well that Irish fans and Irish media and all the rest need to look at ourselves as what we're actually doing and kind of look at the squad and look at the players that we have and sort of look at it and think, we're not really that good. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're just not. We don't have quality players. We don't have the same team that we had in the 2000s. Roy Keane, Robbie Keane, Ian Hart, all these lads. And even that sort of experienced group of players of Seamus Coleman, James McCarthy, Glenn Whelan, all these lads. We just don't have those kind of players anymore. You know what I mean? And look, the younger players that are coming through could very well get to that level. They could very well exceed that level. We don't really know at this point, and it's certainly very, very early days, But I do think, looking at Stephen Kenny, with the fact that he was the man who was in charge of the under-21s, he's been the man that very much knows Irish football better than anyone, given his track record. I think he definitely deserves the chance to see out the next 2 years. And I do think when you look at the progress of Ireland in the last sort of year or so, I think you are seeing, that things are moving in the right direction. And let's not forget, for the first time in a very long time, Ireland do play attractive football. And that was something that was never there under Martin O'Neill, and it was never there under Giovanni Trapattoni. I mean, Martin O'Neill's football was a lot more progressive than Giovanni Trapattoni. There certainly was some improvement there, and we did play a little bit more on the front foot at times. But as the years went on, we definitely did get more and more defensive, and it just did get very stale towards the end. But under Stephen Kenny, you can see the way of football that we're playing, and you can see we're creating chances, we're creating opportunities, and there certainly is progression there. And it will be interesting to see over the next 2 years. And that's why I do think he should be at least given the opportunity to try and qualify Ireland into the 2024 European Championships. Now, if Ireland don't get into the 2024 European Championships, does that mean that Ireland should remove Stephen Kenny as Ireland manager? No, I think it depends on how that championship qualifying campaign goes. I think it also depends as well as who Ireland get in that group. Let's be perfectly honest, in a group with Portugal and Serbia, it was always going to be very, very difficult. It really, really was. I mean, you look at the quality of Serbia. I mean, they finished above Portugal. It was always going to be extremely difficult. But I think what a lot of Irish fans do expect, and certainly should expect, is being a lot more competitive. Beating your likes of Luxembourg's, your Azerbaijans, these kind of teams. I think Ireland should be beating them, let's be honest. We definitely do have the quality on the pitch to be beating those kind of teams. I know a lot of these players are young and they're sort of coming through the ranks, and you have a lot of players that are sort of rising at the minute. Obviously you look at Ogbenny, you look at Caoimhin Kelleher, Gavin Bazanu, Troy Parra. A lot of these players are sort of on the fringes and could very well be Premier League players in the next couple of years. Obviously Caoimhin Kelleher, is backup goalkeeper to Alisson at the minute, who's arguably the best goalkeeper in the world. So you could probably say Kelleher should probably play in the Premier League. In many ways, I think if he was to leave Liverpool, I think there'd be a line of clubs really waiting for him. So you've got a couple of Premier League players in there already. But we should be beating teams with the quality of Luxembourg and Azerbaijan, Lithuania, these lads. Let's be perfectly honest. So what I thought we would do is have a look through what Stephen Kenny has done as a manager. Who has he managed? What has he done in the past? And sort of base our opinion off that as well. So looking at the teams he's managed so far in his career, he was manager of St Patrick's Athletics under-21 side back in 1997 to 1998. He then managed Longford Town for 3 years, Bohemians for 3 years, Derry City for 2 years, Dunfermline Athletic for a year. He then was manager of Derry City for 3 seasons, Shamrock Rovers for a very brief period of time, and then Dundalk for 6 years. And of course Dundalk was very much where his groundwork really came to fruition, and that was certainly where a lot of people started to really take notice of the work that Stephen Kenny has done in the League of Ireland. He was then manager of the Republic of Ireland under-21s for 2 years, and then the senior team up until present day. And looking through what he's achieved as a manager, a league title with Bohemians in 2003, a First Division title with Derry City in 2010, an FAI Cup in 2006. He was runners-up with Dunfermline as well in the Scottish Cup in 2007, which is actually a very good record, a good achievement in my opinion when you look at Celtic and Rangers in that division. So to get all the way to the Scottish Cup final, I think that is a very good achievement in itself as well. And with Dundalk, he won 4 league titles as well, 2 FAI Cups, and of course that brilliant European run as well, where they nearly got out of the group stages in the Europa League. A consistent team getting into the Europa League as well. And most Irish fans will tell you, Irish teams very, very rarely ever get into Europe. And when Irish teams have gotten into Europe, usually you'd be lucky to see them win a game. So for Dundalk to come as close as they did to getting out of the group stages really shows you the work that he done as Dundalk manager, and I think that definitely can't go unnoticed. In his time as manager of the under-21s, he was manager for 12 games, 7 wins, 3 draws, 2 defeats, 58% win rate, so not too bad there at all. And since becoming manager of the Republic of Ireland, the senior team, 6 wins, 10 draws, 7 defeats in 23 games, 26% win rate. Not exactly brilliant there, to be perfectly honest. I mean, it doesn't look too good there, but there certainly have been improvements in the last couple of games. I mean, the performance against Portugal was really good. The performance against Belgium, you look at players like Benny coming through, who's done very well there. Young goalkeepers coming through like Kelleher and Bazanu. And look, he hasn't been afraid to throw in younger lads, Troy Parrott, these kind of players. So, I think from an Ireland perspective, there is a lot of improvement there. And I do think he should be given until 2024, at a minimum, to see off the qualifying campaign. And I think as long as Ireland are competitive, as long as they produce good performances, as long as we, don't get humiliated against, the likes of a Faroe Islands or something like that, I think Ireland should definitely be keeping Stephen Kenny in charge for the 2026 World Cup qualification campaign, because I do think the chopping and changing of managers isn't going to do any good. And you also look at the perspective of Irish football at the minute as well, and you think, well, who do you get in there as Ireland manager if you were to get rid of Stephen Kenny? Are you going to go back to Roy Keane? Yeah, I've seen a lot of people behind that. For me, I'm not sure. He's been out of the game a long time. His record as a manager in general is, it was brilliant with Sunderland, but since then it hasn't gone particularly well. You think of Ipswich Town and whatnot. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure really. And he was obviously part of the management team under Martin O'Neill. So I don't know, would Ireland go back there again? I'm not sure. But he would be the outstanding candidate if Ireland were, to remove Stephen Kenny. Other than that, you're looking at going abroad and bringing in a manager in there. I don't really know if Irish fans want that, to be perfectly honest. And I think the fans do have a brilliant connection with Stephen Kenny. You've seen that in the celebrations after the Lithuania game. And I know a lot of people were speaking out against those celebrations and were sort of, we shouldn't be celebrating like that. We shouldn't be over the top. Let's put things into context here. Troy Parrott scores a goal in the 97th minute. It's an absolute wonder goal as well. How are you not going to celebrate that? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't get this whole crack sometimes, of when people celebrate and people are like, oh, you shouldn't be celebrating that. What do you expect players to do in that instance? Oh, nice goal. Yeah. Good job, lads. Okay, nice one. We can't celebrate this one. It was a good goal, but yeah, just leave it. I mean, come on, like, do you know what I mean? And I know Stephen Kenny's obviously doing that sort of thing to the fans. I like that. I love that, because you're seeing there a connection between fans and manager, and I think that is what Ireland needs, because for too long in the past, there's always often been a bit of a, even under Giovanni Trapattoni, although he got us to Euro 2012, the connection between the fans and manager just wasn't there. Ireland were not a great team to watch. We got to a major tournament and we got absolutely ragdolled by absolutely everyone. I mean, it was just atrocious, really. 2016, under Martin O'Neill, there was definitely more of a connection, no doubt about it. I was at the Belgium game when Ireland got absolutely tanked by Belgium at that European Championship, but there was a connection there, and a lot of Irish fans were very well behind Martin O'Neill, make no mistake about it. But even at that, the connection with Stephen Kenny feels like more, and I feel like it's almost like he's one of our own in that kind of instance. He's been managing in the League of Ireland, he knows Irish football, he knows what it means to represent Ireland, and for me, that is something that has been lacking. And I think you speak to a lot of Irish fans, and you look at attendances as well at the Aviva Stadium for a lot of Irish games, and you'll see a lot of people are behind them, and I think that is very, very important. And I think that connection between manager, players and fans, I think that could really be what could drive Ireland on. You look at something like Northern Ireland, for example, with Michael O'Neill, when he led them to the European Championship, 2 European Championships as a matter of fact. You see in there sort of the connection between the fans, the player and the manager. And I think that's something that Ireland, in my opinion, has been missing. And I think that is something that we should definitely, work towards in the coming seasons. So ultimately, I'm all aboard the Stephen Kenny hype train. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What I would say is, if the qualification campaign for 2024 goes horribly wrong, we get, some humiliating results in there, I think it'd be very hard to justify Stephen Kenny staying on. But I think for me, when you look at, as I said before, the connection between the fans and the manager, when you look at the style of play that we're playing, the considerable improvement in the last couple of games, and the fact that Stephen Kenny knows Irish football better than anyone, I think it would be very, very foolish indeed to get rid of him as Ireland manager. Because also as well, who else do you get in right now? Roy Keane is the outstanding candidate, but after that, I haven't a clue. You're looking then maybe at going abroad or whatever. I just don't think that's a good idea, in my opinion. I think you might as well keep Stephen Kenny right now. He's been there 2 years. Give him this qualifying campaign, and then you assess things after 2024, going into that World Cup campaign. But I think right now, keep him in charge. Let's see what we can do. Let's support the boys in green. Euro 2024. Are we going to get there? I'm not sure. But let's certainly get behind the team, and let's hope so.